What's going on YouTube? Uberman here, or if you're on the reviews and how-to channel, then Review Man here. Today we're going to be building a brand new system. Total cost of this build right around $2650, and we've got some top-of-the-line components here. We start out with a Genome II liquid-cooled case. The case does not come with the power supply, but it does come with the reservoir, the pump. You can choose from red, they have green, they have blue, they have white, LED lighting. We got a SoundBlaster Z. We've got a Microsoft Natural Ergonomic 4000 keyboard. We've got an MSI X99A SLI Plus motherboard, 64 gigabytes of G.Skill, GDDR4. This is a PC4 19200, so 2400 megahertz, 64 gigabytes of that. We have a Core i7-6800K unlocked. I'm going to try to push past the 4 gigahertz mark. For storage, we have a Samsung 960 EVO. This is the M.2 NVMe. This runs on the PCI Express lanes, which means this thing is ungodly fast. For the video card, of course, you've got two choices if you're looking at top-of-the-line performance. You've got the ZOTAC, the AMP Extreme Edition. This is the fastest GTX 1080 card on the market, period. The only card, consumer grade card, faster than this would be your Titan X. And when you look at the price of a Titan X, you're, right now, prices, if you can find them, prices are between $1,500 and $1,800 for a Titan X, and the performance gains are marginal at best. I think some of the best gains I've seen with a Titan X over the GTX 1080 overclocked edition are something like 17%. So when you're looking at a card like this for $650, $700 in some cases, versus a card that's $1,500 and up for a 17% increase in performance, just not worth it. This is the card to go with. You want a real performance-minded GTX 1080. This is the fastest one you can find. This is the one I highly recommend. For a backup drive, I know these things are so out of date. I actually already have cloned this one, and I thought just for kicks, I would plug it in place of my PNY SSD drive and just see how the computer reacted with an old school hard drive in it. This is not a crappy hard drive. Okay, this is a Segate Barracuda, 64 megabytes of cache, 7200 RPM, SATA 6. So this is about as fast as you're going to get on the consumer end of a mechanical hard drive. And I plugged this thing in, and it was like going back to the 90s. Yeah, so this is strictly for cloning once a month or so. For the operating system, we are upgrading today legitimately. I purchased a new key. We're going to go from Windows 10 Home Edition 64 to Windows 10 Pro Edition 64. Just because this computer is off the hook, and come on, why stick with Home Edition when we're going all the way here? So with that being said, let's jump into this and let's get it built. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump into some unboxing here. We've got the ZOTAC AMP Extreme Edition GeForce GTX 1080. This is a monstrosity of a card. So we're going to take our trusty unboxing knife here and just cut that open. Got our driver CD right here. As usual, we have our, what are these, 6 to 8 pins? Yes, we have two 6 to 8 pin connectors right here. And that should be it, aside from this beast. Whew, guys. Tell me this is not a thing of beauty. Look at the girth of this card. You've got your DVI port, you've got one HDMI port, and you've got 3 display ports. Got your SLI bridge right here, and of course your PCI Express lane right here. We've got 3, pull this off, 3 cooling fans, a massive heat sink We've got copper plumbing running throughout. This is a beautiful, beautiful card, guys. Look at that. Feel like Vanna White. Oh man, absolute thing of beauty, isn't she? All right, guys, next we've got our SoundBlaster Z. This is the one that comes with the beamforming microphone here. Not that I really have any use for that, but this is a spectacular sound card, and this is going to be what I use for probably the next few years here. Let's go ahead and break her open. All right, and here she is. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous audio card. Look at that. Beautiful. Here is our beamforming microphone. And looks like that's about all we get with that. Alright guys, this is going to be the Samsung 960 EVO M.2. This is the NVMe PCI Express version. Let's go ahead and see if there's any tape on it or anything. Yes, there is. So we will open it. If we can even get in here. Here we go. Now this is going to be teeny tiny here, guys. There she is. That is a 1 terabyte hard disk. This is the new hard disk. Old mechanical, new. 1 terabyte 960 EVO. Unfortunately, yes, I know some people are going to be like, why didn't you get the Pro? There's really no performance difference, not enough to really measure between the EVO and the Pro. The Pro has a better warranty, but quite honestly, this thing is great for what I wanted to use it for. It was about $500, I think about $475, $480, and to be quite honest with you, also when I ordered this, the Pro was not released yet. This was ordered in December. The Pro wasn't released until January. So either way, I would not have purchased the Pro even if it had been released because the EVO is good enough for me. Got a lot of experience with these Samsung EVO SSD drives, not with the PCI Express ones, but the older 840 EVOs. I've used them for a couple years with a lot of video editing. No issues at all. The drives are still fully healthy and perfectly functional. Here we have our G.Skill. These are the Ripjaws. We have 64 gigabytes of RAM here. So let's go ahead and break this puppy open. Try not to cut myself here. Take a look at what we got in the bag. There you go. Beautiful, isn't she? These are the Ripjaws 4. 64 gigs, so we have 8 memory sticks with 8 gigabytes of DDR4 apiece. This is the 2400 megahertz DDR4 RAM. Next, we have our Core i7. This is the i7-6800K LGA 2011 version 3. This is a 6-core, 12-thread processor with 15 megabytes of L3 cache. We'll go ahead and do an unboxing, although there's not going to be anything. Have our booklet, and we have our chip. We'll wait to open this till we're ready to install it into the motherboard, but there she is in all of her glory. An absolute beauty. Alright, next we have our MSI X99A SLI Plus with USB 3.1. This thing is loaded to the gills, a beast of a motherboard at a very, very reasonable price. This is an SLI bridge right here for NVIDIA cards. This looks like it's a couple SATA cables. And it looks like we got a couple more SATA cables. And it looks like we got a couple more SATA cables. So we've got our 2011 socket right here. We have our articulating arms. There we go. Set your processor right down in there. There she is in all of her glory. All right, guys. Not much of an unboxing to do here. We will take a quick look at it. This is the Genome II. This is by GamerStorm. And this case comes liquid cooled from the factory. You have your double helix reservoir right here. This one is in red, but they have multiple colors. You have your USB ports. Not 100% sure if these are 3.0 or 3.1. You got a power switch. You got a reset switch, power switch, and on the side right here you can turn on and off your LED lights. All right, let's lay this down. All right, can pop this off like so. We have a PCI Express riser card, which they were really awesome to include here. And what this does is takes your video card, instead of mounting it straight down on the motherboard like this, you can actually mount your video card sideways, which is pretty cool, but I don't think I'm going to be using that. I think I'm going to go old school and just mount it the way it was designed to be mounted. I've already opened this up, but we have our radiator up here. Yes, for those of you that don't know computers, yes, computers that are liquid cooled actually have radiators just like a car. This is a big radiator. I don't know off the top of my head the size. We got 3 good size fans that are LED lit. We have our water pump right here that is ready to go. It has LEDs in it as well. Move that out of the way temporarily, very carefully. We've got some of our connectors right here. This will go onto the motherboard for the USB ports. And then we've got everything else. You've got all these little connectors for the reset switch, power switch, hard disk drive, power LED positive, power LED negative. This will be for the audio. Yes, high definition audio, which we will end up plugging this directly to the SoundBlaster audio card, I would imagine. Other than that, it looks like about it. All right, here's the back side. This is the side where we will be mounting our power supply. You have room for your 3.5-inch drives right here. You have room over here for your 2.5-inch. These are really more for SSD drives. You can manage all your wires here. We have our fans here. All right, we've got some Velcro, which is really handy for wire management. We've got a little bitty speaker for the motherboard right here so that it can beep at you if you've got a problem. Looks like we've got a whole bunch of zip ties here, which is nice also for wire management. In here, we've got screws, lots of screws, and more screws. So we'll put all this back in this box, move it out of the way. This is going to be for the liquid cooler, which we have a nice little instruction manual right here. Some 3M tape, we have our brackets, we have our cooler block. Looks like over here, the fan bridge, the hub. They call it a hub, I call it a bridge, whatever. We got our fan hub right here, which looks like it's got some sticky tape on it. Yes, right here, so you can mount it anywhere you want inside the case if you need it, but we're not going to. This case is nice enough to come with its own thermal compound for the processor, which I ordered some, but mine is not here yet, so we'll probably just end up using that. As far as the standoffs for the motherboard, this case already has them pre-installed. You can move them around as you see fit, but should be in the right place to function with most motherboards. So with that being out of the way, let's move on to the build. All right, so we're going to install the processor now. Lift up your first lock, lift up your second lock, pull the cover back, remove this plastic piece right here, get it out of the way. Take your new processor. Keep in mind the arrow will always point at the direction of the arrow on your motherboard. You can see we have one here, we have one here. Simply gently set it in place. Do not push, just make sure that it is seated properly. What is going on here? We have bent pins. Oh fuck. We have a lot of bent pins. This motherboard's no good.
Oh my god.
Alright guys, so we're going to have to do things a little bit differently in this build. Unfortunately, the motherboard that I was sent by Newegg as a refurb has bent pins. I've been fighting with myself trying to figure out if I wanted to include that footage in this video or not, but you know what, it's one of those things that does happen on occasion. So I'm going to go ahead and include that footage, which you've probably already seen. Unfortunately, this is something I was not aware of. It's been a long time since I've gone out and looked for a computer store where you can buy parts. Unfortunately, I've checked everywhere. Every computer store in Oklahoma City that's listed with Google. Unfortunately, nobody carries the X99 motherboards. Most of them don't carry motherboards at all. And one of them in particular tried to tell me that a Z170 chipset motherboard would work with my 6800K. So I don't know what's going on with these computer stores these days, but I absolutely wouldn't trust them, especially the ones that don't know the difference between a Z170 chipset and the X99 chipset. So with that being said, we're screwed temporarily. I did do a search on Craigslist. I was able to find one EVGA X99 FTW, which is for the win, K series for $270. I talked him down to $245, but I'm awaiting his response to actually go pick it up. So that's enough about that. Let's get into getting the power supply installed. It's kind of a no-brainer here. This is a pretty simple installation. Simply get our bolt holes lined up here. Good news, I just got a text from the guy with the power supply. He is in Yukon, which is a little ways away. He does not have long. He said he's got a short window around 5:30. It's 4:30 now, so we're going to get this PSU installed, and then we're going to make a run for the border, so to speak, try to get down there and snatch this up so I can get this machine online. As of right now, I have no computer, unless I want to put everything back in my old unit and then redo this again later, and I really don't want to do that. Like I said, nothing needs to be torqued down here, guys. Snug is good. All right, there you have it. That is the installation of your power supply unit. We got all these cables that we're going to have to manage. I hate this. I really hate this mess, because most of these, like, oh, I'm not going to use these. I'm not going to use these. You know, nobody uses these old connectors anymore. Okay, so it looks like we have an appointment here in a few minutes to pick up the new motherboard, and I hope it works, because otherwise I'm shelling out more money for nothing. I guess we're going to want to mount this like this. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get these SSDs locked in. This is for a traditional hard disk drive. And these are for SSDs and the motherboard. So we'll drop a few of these out here. All right, there is number one. There we go. Got it out of frame there. This is the 840 Evo, also an amazing little drive. And we will mount it in the same fashion. Alright, now that we've got our two SSDs installed, let's go ahead and reach down in here and pull out this 3.5-inch drive bay. I have decided I'm going to go ahead and just throw that hard drive in here to save myself the headache and hassle. I believe this thing just pops out just like that. And then we will take our drive and find a nice little home for it up here. All right, so at this point we open up the package that's for hard drive, HDD. We only need 4 of these. Truthfully, you can get away with only using 2. There's no need to bolt these things down like a hurricane's coming. Just like that. This is a very, very easy case to work on. I absolutely love it. There we go. This particular screw was giving me a little bit of difficulty, but we got it. Now you can start figuring out how you want to wire up all of your little SATA drives. And with that being said, we'll take a break. All right, guys, so we're going to do this unboxing together for the first time. So forget about the MSI SLI X99A. That motherboard is out. I just picked this up for $245. It's the EVGA X99 for the win K. And I'm really hoping I got a deal on this. I hope that this is not a blown motherboard, but it helps that the guy was in a green Corvette ZR. And as you can see, looks like none of the connectors have been opened. Everything is sealed. Yes, everything is still sealed, which is pretty awesome. That's a good sign. Back plates included. More connectors. This is a back plate with USB ports. We have our book. We have a slew of other connectors. It says this is a SATA cables. Of course, that's not really what I'm interested in at this point. VGA connector to DVI. This is what we are looking at right here. This is what the fuss is all about. Honestly, it doesn't look like this seal has ever been broken. I'm pretty good with electronics, guys, and this, yeah, no, this seal's never been broken. This motherboard has never been out of its packaging. It even smells new. Yeah, this thing's never been turned on. The problem we had last time was getting our CPU installed, which is not supposed to be a difficult task at all. You take this plate off, you open it up, and your CPU should fit down in there really nicely, and I don't see any bent pins. They're usually pretty easy to spot. There's a really nice pattern to all of these. We have our arrow pointing right here, so we will take our processor and turn it so that the arrow matches up with the arrow on the motherboard. It should drop down really easily. You can close your lid. And we're going to close this one down on it first. And then this one. And there you have it. Our CPU is seated. The next part of this is going to be installing the block for the liquid cooler. we've got the processor in. We've got the block for the cooler in. Let's go ahead and get our drive mounted. Start by taking out this little screw right here. Insert our card right here. Very simple. Just like that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and install the memory. All right, we have our processor installed. We have 64 gigabytes of DDR4, 2400 megahertz. We've got our SSD right here, the Samsung 960 M.2. All right, so some of you are probably going, what the hell happened here? We were supposed to be putting this thing together before it ended up all in the case and everything, but let me assure you I'm not done yet. We ran into some serious problems with this motherboard fitting into this case. You know, if the other motherboard had worked out, it would have been perfect. It was a perfect fit, but this one, we had an issue with a USB header right here because the case comes up higher. You could not use the front USB ports, so I had to actually cut the case down over here. We had an issue down here with the power supply. The 24-pin connector to the motherboard will not go through here because it won't fit, so it's the cable management is yeah, good luck. Luckily I'm not all that concerned with it. I'll make it look as best I can. I think what I'm going to do is put the graphics card right here. We're going to put the USB header right here. This is where it belongs. Fine. This will be the high definition audio port right here for the front of the tower. All right. Whew. It's getting real. We've got just about everything installed aside from putting some compound on this and plugging this into the CPU fan and hooking up our SATA ports. Alright guys, so we're almost done with this. The next step is to get the liquid cooler installed, so we're going to need our heatsink compound. I'm going to pull this sticker off here. Set this to the side. Find our compound here. Now what I like to do is put a nice little line across the center. Alright. And I don't just leave it like that. I take a card. Alright, and I use the edge of it to smooth it out. Alright, that should do it. We've got a pretty nice even coat of heatsink compound. We'll get these out of the way. Then we will mount the cooler to the CPU. There we go. Looks good. Plug in our LED light here. Plug this into the CPU fan slot, and we are good to go. Just like that. Alright guys, I'd like to thank you for taking 30 some minutes out of your day to watch this video. I hope you found it entertaining. I had over an hour and a half of footage, and I've spent well over 2 hours in editing. Worked really hard on this one for you guys, so I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see part 2, click right here. Part 2 is going to be benchmarking this computer against the old one and comparing Creative Cloud Premiere 2017, the exact same footage being rendered on 2 different machines so that you can see the difference one machine makes in comparison to the other, as well as whether I believe this was worth the $2,650 to build or not, because if not, this thing's going to be up for sale soon. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Till next time, stay safe out there.